to New Comic Book Day Book Club. My name's Alec. This is White Whale Comics. With me, as always, is John.
Yep, can't get rid of me. I'm like herpes.
Gross.
Very gross.
And subbing in at the last minute, Tacoma Comics was supposed to join us, but unfortunately his shop sold out of the book.
I didn't even notice. I love this right here. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, I know. Not my number one fan.
Yeah, after the herpes comment, I need to switch that over to White Whale's number one fan.
Accurate. Let's see if I can do this right. Nope. Got it. It's Comics with Bueller.
How you doing, man? Appreciate having me on again. I think this is my third time for book club.
Yeah, you're gonna get the SNL jacket soon.
That'll be awesome. I appreciate it. I'm pretty excited to talk about this book. So awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, based on the title, we're talking about that book John's holding up right now, Something is Killing the Children. But before we get into that, I want to shout out the chat really quickly. TJ Slapdragon Watson, first in the chat. Johnny Dakota is second. Grey Matter Hulk calling us out, saying it's 11 in the East. What are you jamokes doing? Get started. Fu Hong is here. We got JP's Budget Collecting. Ben Compton. We got Old Wolf 65. Thanks for joining us. Grey Matter Hulk 5 Starmers Club, yep. SNL vest for Bueller. JP's Budget Collecting said that's probably more accurate. And Dre Boogie so far. Thanks for joining us, everyone, on this late Wednesday evening. Yeah, as you can see, I have a little slab stand here. Oh, I forgot to put the slab up.
Yeah, I was going to say the one from your unboxing today.
Yeah, it's in pieces. It's not. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's all.
But there were lots of scraps in that box, from what I could see. It took a hit, man. It took a hit. But only one of the slabs was messed up. That was impressive.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, so we'll talk about that later. This is the book we're talking about.
Yep.
And this is the book we're talking about.
Really? You guys both got that cover? I did not get it.
And
this is the book we're talking about.
I almost liked that cover best.
I thought that one.
Yeah.
That red one, when I looked at it in the shop, I was like, damn. And everybody's talking about it.
And then you're like, oh, it's Jay Lee. Forget about it.
Yeah, I'm not a Jay Lee fan.
Mine actually looks red because my coloring is really nice on my video. So, as opposed to Alex, looks kind of gray.
Appropriate. We can all have a different cover then.
Yeah, everybody's got their own. We can all have our own.
Ruben's in the chat. What's up, Ruben? Ruben ran into me, or we ran into each other rather, at a shop the other day, and it was nice. I always feel weird about like meeting people, not because just because I'm awkward and terrible and weird, but he was very pleasant, and it was great to meet him. And then someone recognized me today too, and it's weird.
Is that 3 times this week, or is that just 2?
Twice, 2 days in a row. Yeah. The man today who did not introduce himself said to the people at the counter, "Hey, you know this guy? He's famous." Like,
you're a superstar, man. Superstar. The White Whale.
Adams here said, White Whale Comics, Alex's favorite story today is Something is Damaging the Dye Slab. Yeah.
It's not something. It's the post office.
Yeah, it's the post office. Going to Florida to go whale watching. Very funny. Grey Matter Hulk. Nailing it. Okay, so let's talk about the book. It's by Boom Studios. It's by James Tinian IV and Werther Deledra. I don't know how to say that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
What'd you guys think? First reactions?
It's a setup issue. So for me, like I had mixed feelings. Obviously, setup issues are like this one. It's not like a story where there's an insane amount of exposition. They kind of just drop you in and things just happen. But there's not a lot of action. It's really a lot of meeting characters and building towards what will eventually be the action, I have a feeling, in later issues. But all that being said, I think it's a solid first issue.
I think the first thing we should talk about is the title of the book itself. is something that grabbed me right off the bat. Literally, I had no idea about this book, and I come across it when I'm putting it together a video, and it's called "Something is Killing the Children." I mean, that's
you have to know what it is, right?
Yeah, that is the title that grabs right from the very beginning. So I had to pick it up just because of the title.
Right. And I think they made up for 2 covers being virgin covers from the fact that this is like 3/4 of the cover here.
The main cover is really good too. I like
I liked it. I thought it was really strong visually.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine told me he didn't pick it up because he did not care for the artwork when he flipped through it. I mean, it's certainly very stylized, but I thought it worked really well. I wouldn't like put it in my top tier for art, but I thought it told the story really well. I thought it was very effective. I thought it had moments where it was like really cool looking, but
yeah, I think the artwork fit the story. You know, you'll get a lot of books that the artwork doesn't just match the story, but I thought on this one, the artwork it told the story along with the word bubbles itself, and I thought that worked very well together.
Absolutely, and I felt like they accomplished something that a lot of people kind of ignores: facial expressions and like emotion in characters. Where like you see a lot of books and people are like have word bubbles, and they just have this flat face of it's like every panel is me. But like emotion helps tell the reader what is. Yeah, that was great.
I love that.
Or you get the lazy artists who just do a person without their mouth open, but there's like this huge word bubble of speech.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like if someone's talking, their mouth should be parted. That's maybe just me. But yeah, that page Bueller just showed, it made it. I had mixed feelings about that because I turned the page. I was like, wow, that looks awesome. That's very cool. I can hear like a bum bum. But then I was like, oh, this is just a TV show.
Yeah.
And which is fine. Like it. So many books now are unapologetically just pitches for TV. And I felt like this, if I have to criticize the book, because surprise, I actually really liked the book. And it's this one.
He's like, I'm going to tear it apart, but I'm going to give it an 8.5.
No, I'm not going to tear it apart. That was my biggest criticism of it, is that like it clearly was designed to be a pitch for
another medium. And I could see that. I will say the structure of it. So for those that don't know, we're starting off, there's sort of this beginning portion of 5-6 pages dealing with a sleepover party that kind of clearly goes awry. And then we cut to a police station interrogation where one of the kids from the party is clearly trying to explain what happened to all the kids that were at the party. And then you get your slamming of something's killing the children. It did remind me a little bit of Die, where you have like this sequence of kids, and then you're going to jump ahead to now this friendship thing has really taken a turn, and some of these kids are dead or not the same anymore.
Or Stranger Things.
I initially looked at it as like, this is a Stranger Things meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer type thing. That's introducing both sides of the characters. Obviously, Buffy being the girl that's introduced, and the kids in the very beginning just reminded me of the group of Stranger Things. And that's kind of what I saw when I read this book as well.
JP's Budget Collection says he seems so disappointed he liked it. I'm not disappointed. I want to like every book that I read. Let me be clear about that. I just am surprised because I'm so hypercritical and a jerk.
I'm usually the one that's disappointed when I like something because it means I have to add another book to my pull list, and I don't want to do that. So then we jump ahead to 2 weeks later, and the rest of the story sort of follows the repercussions of whatever happened that night, where we have characters coming into this boy's life because of the events of that evening. And then it sort of just ends with, okay, now we've got all the characters we want in one place. Get ready for where the story goes from here, now that we know what we're dealing with in this basic world.
I complain a lot about the pacing of stories on this channel. And I feel like John is complaining about it in the opposite direction, where I feel like a lot of times they kind of cram too much into a first issue without letting it breathe. And I feel like you're saying that you wanted a little more.
I think I just felt like this. I don't think I needed more. I just felt like this was very typical. I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of it that was like, wow, that's really new or that's really different. You know, and so for me, it just felt like a typical setup issue. It didn't feel like something really new.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. I mean, I liked it for the most part, but it was kind of basic. When you got to the end of the book, it was like, okay, this is a basic monster story type thing, and I was kind of hoping for a little bit of a twist and, introducing the character. I think her name is, I wrote it down, it's Erica Slaughter. That's the name of the girl, is Erica Slaughter. And she's kind of interesting. I'm curious to know about her backstory and where she came from. She's just introduced, walking out of the woods. She took care of some monsters at a different area, and now she's like been assigned to go to this town and to take care of the problem because apparently 9 kids are dead and there's more missing every day. And James, who is the kid, who's the other main character in the story, he's like the only one that was left from the sleepover at the very beginning of the book.
Yeah, I mean, she's clearly the star of the show. And what I mean by that is that she's the one that it piques your interest. At the moment, I do have my theories about the kid, though. But yeah, I agree. Like, for me, there wasn't, so far, there's not really anything super groundbreaking about this, but it was just, I thought, just really well done. Just really solid.
Yeah, I don't mean to be hating on it. I know our show can get that bad rap for hating on books. I do like this book. I think it's well executed in the same way like a really good action movie that's not really reinventing any ideas can still be really entertaining, and you can still really enjoy what's going on. I felt that way here, where it was like, it's very familiar and yet still a whole lot of fun. It wasn't like poorly executed. The paneling, like you guys mentioned, the art, the amount of dialogue. There's several sequences, like when the boy is being interviewed by the school vice principal or whatever. I thought that the visual expressions on the characters' faces, the dialogue, it was all put together so beautifully. I was laughing at different portions of it. I thought the characterizations were spot on.
Yeah. And, I used the phrase giving it room to breathe. And I felt like, John has read a couple things that I've written, and I'm sure that maybe I stretch my arms a little too much. But, to me, those panels, and I talked about this on Story Comic Core as well when we were doing Why the Last Man, the panels where it's just an establishing shot or something in between something happening really can like add so much to the story. And I feel like so many books either refuse to or just don't care to do that.
Right.
Because it's, taxing on the artist to have to draw this panel that doesn't service the story at all. But it really does for me. It adds to the pace, it adds to the mood, it adds to the overall plot. So in this book, I thought did that really well, where it had just these moments of silence that.
Again, that sequence with the vice principal or whatever, I thought was hilarious. There were pauses that were like a comedic beat. They were it was just well played out, those two.
Yeah, that one was like straight out of a TV show or a movie. That whole
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm looking there. Okay, Kevin Hart could play the principal, and then the kid from Modern Family could play the kid. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. It's almost like it was, like you said, written for like a pilot or a movie type thing. I'm curious, what do you guys think about the wagon girl that had one arm, one eyeball? She was missing her legs and an arm, and she's just in it at that one thing, like 2 weeks later, and he's gone. I don't know if she'll make another return.
So
you don't get on the wagon girl.
Yeah, I think she was the main character of that town, basically. Like, she was the one who survived an attack that the what's her name, Savage, came and got information from in order to find the monster.
So yeah, we're talking about a sequence now where our character has been trying to explain to police and grown-ups and all the authorities what happened that night and not getting a lot of believability across the board. And then the female character we were talking about shows up. She's not a police officer or anything. She's clearly connected to some shadow organization we'll get more on later on. She shows up and demands the truth from him, will believe whatever he says, and then he launches into the flashback that we've been waiting for all issue. And in it, and it's graphic, it is intense. You see the murders and the last moments for several of these kids, and then finally I don't want to say this one ends with a villain reveal, but it does several pages before the end finally give you a glimpse of the beast.
Yeah. And I was very surprised at how graphic the shots of the children dying were. Like, if they were adults, I wouldn't be as surprised because, there's plenty of violence in comics. But usually if there's kids involved, they kind of like shy away from it. But not this book. No.
They live up to their name.
Yeah, it's definitely, they have kids like ripped in half and stuff like that. And
coming out. And
it's definitely kind of, like you said, a graphic book. And I think that's obviously what they're going for to make that image, what the title itself, it's already grabbing you. And they're putting in all the violence and stuff. So they're kind of playing it into the title, obviously. So very graphic for sure.
And, going back to what we were saying earlier about how it, wasn't necessarily groundbreaking anyway, but at the end of the last panel where the kid is like, "I'm coming with you," I was like, "Oh hell yeah, let's do this!" Like it roped me in, like it totally got me. So
yeah, and it wasn't, like I said, a traditional villain reveal, right? We didn't get the last page as the villain. Instead, it was like, no, I got the flashback. You saw the monster. The reveal is this kid wants in.
Yeah, he wants to.
Which I thought was a better way to end it than if they had ended it with the beast. I would have said hard pass. I'm good. Like, it's an idea. Maybe I'll read the trade or something.
You know how I feel about that.
I do. That's why I'm bringing it up on our show regularly.
Oh, yeah.
Exposition and beast after the last page.
Villain reveals. John went to film school.
I don't know about it. We should ask his fan.
They don't introduce the kid's parents at all, which I thought was interesting, and especially when he's being, questioned by like police and stuff like that. There's no parents around. And there's also a little question in there when the school bully or whatever you want to call it, kind of questions the kid's sexuality and stuff. And I thought that was interesting. It's kind of a turn I didn't really see. I don't know if that has anything to play into the story. But it seems like maybe, like Alec referred to it earlier, he's interested in the kid type thing. I mean, wonder if he has more demons that's kind of, in the mix. So
yeah. So and I don't know if this is like reading way too much into it, but it starts off with the kids playing Truth or Dare, and the main character tells this story about, I guess he has these nightmares, and the other kids like hearing about them a lot, but he tells this story. He's like, "No, this one's true. I saw this monster in my yard." Blah blah blah. And he talks about it, and then he's talking to the cops after the event of other kids getting murdered, and he says, "I made it all up." He's like, "They like hearing about my nightmares, and I like that they like hearing about them. So I made this up to like kind of basically take it to the next level to get them to like me more." Because he says in another point, like, "I never had sleepover friends." So like he is doing this to get the kids to like him more.
Yeah.
But how would he know about it if he made it up? So I'm wondering if it's some sort of manifestation. Like
I think that it certainly hints at elements of that.
Right.
I don't know if that would hold true, because she's already a monster hunter per se, and she's away killing monsters type thing in another area. So
yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily about
you know what I'm trying to say, manifestations. I'm sorry, as well. But she's already kind of on the job, being the monster hunter type thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a power that he has solely, but it's something that certain people in the world maybe have access to do this, because she refers to it as like a code.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she says it's a level 6 or a class 6 or
like
something.
An E7 or something like that. I don't know. Like I said, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but clearly there's something going on with the kid and him knowing about it. Maybe he did see it and he's suppressing it, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a portion of the story that I would hope second and third issues would delve into a little bit, is this boy and why him and what's going on there. I'm hoping that that's kind of somewhere that this story continues to explore. I know that everybody in seeing these covers was like, I want to know about this girl, this female character.
Yeah.
I think we get her like I don't think there's a whole lot more that we need from her. I mean, maybe the Shadow organization and how she came to work with them, but like, I don't need it. I think he's the one I need more.
I think for this series to be, I don't know if it's a mini series or an ongoing, but I think for it to be successful, she needs to be more complicated than that.
I agree. Yeah. They don't even reference her name in issue 1. I mean, her name hasn't been spoken at all. I had to look it up to see what she was called. But I definitely want it. Here's the thing. I don't want it to be just a monster type thing. If it's just a monster story that a monster is in the woods and that's it, then it'll, after the second issue, I'm probably out. I want it to be more than just a monster. And from what I understand, the writer, his initial thing on this was probably doing a limited series. But the article I just read, he sounds like he wants to keep going. Like he wants to make this an ongoing thing and have like different adventures of this character type thing. So if that's the case, then obviously they're going to have to dig a little bit deeper into this girl.
Yeah, I mean, I would have a hard time imagining this as an ongoing series unless the goal was to create like kid and girl vampire hunters or whatever, like make them like on the road hunting. I don't know how you make this into an ongoing. I think it seems to feel like a mini to me.
Well, so how I might see it is, so this story that we see in a bubble right now would be like the mini section of it. And then it opens up into a bigger story about what's really going on. And the girl kind of like uncovering it or like dealing with it, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So it's kind of, it would have to be like definitely a left turn in the storytelling, but or it could be like 100 Bullets type of situation where it's a bunch of kind of smaller stories of her just like, here's the next briefcase of like where I need to go to the town to fight the next monster. So I think it has room if they do it right. I'm curious about when she kind of brushes her hair back and you see like she's got like some sort of cybernetic implant or something. You guys pick up on that?
No, where was that at?
It was right towards the end where she's talking to the boy. And
right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
And there was something about when she gets off the bus in this town and the old lady that she meets on the bus is like, terrible about those children. I wish somebody would do something about it. It seems like that, you know, there's something going on, I feel like, with all this. There's so many layers to this story that might just potentially be avenues where they could really go.
I mean, I'm looking at some of the pages in here, and they reference 9 kids being killed so far. But there's a panel where she's staring at a board filled with missing photos, and there's literally probably 40 or 50 photos that are on that board. So I mean, that's
I
find it interesting that they reference earlier in the things like, hey, when the first couple of kids were killed, we got some attention. Now there's 9 kids. Now nobody cares. Type thing.
Well, I think, didn't the principal say something about how like 9 kids were dead, but more were missing?
Yeah.
And nobody cares. So
missing every day.
Yeah. So I think like they probably just haven't confirmed them being dead.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
But it's a good question. I was curious as to why the news wouldn't care anymore. This seems like it would only get bigger, not all of a sudden nobody cares.
Maybe they're in on it.
Who's going to let their kid walk home from school if there's so many kids missing and all his friends got killed? What kind of parents are that?
Hey, gotta work, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess, right. I mean, if that many kids are going missing every day, you think you'd figure out some sort of measure to, like, even if the parents can't do it, the school would implement. I don't know.
I mean, it's only a 2-week period. It's literally it's a 2-week period from when
so it's happening real quick. It's not like it's
the first instance, and then 2 weeks later is when she shows up, type thing, and so it's a very small time frame.
TJ said, "Could that be a cochlear implant?" I didn't read it as that, but I don't know, because like I thought it was weird the way she showed it to him, like he was supposed to know what it meant.
Yeah.
It definitely looked like
it does look intentional. There's a pause there where you see her lifting the hairline up.
Yeah.
And then it seems to somewhat convince, along with what she's saying, to convince him to launch into the story, which once was it 5 pages of the flashback. It's a powerful section where you see what's happening to the kids.
I'm zooming on you there.
You really want to? Okay. Well, it's not my channel, I suppose.
It's just violence. You can show as much as
it is very violent. What I did about the pages, I think the layout is really cool.
You can't show boob, but you can show intestines if you want.
Because it's like sometimes you're reading across, sometimes you're reading down. Like it mixes and matches between the 2 pages, and it does the same here. You're reading across this way, and then you read across this way. It's kind of cool the way they lay it out. And then of course the splash page reveal of the beast.
Spooky. You would like that. It's a very Bendis thing.
I like it because it's
to go all the way across the page like that.
I didn't say I love it. I like the way that it's different than the rest of the book.
You look so surprised and offended.
Yeah, anytime somebody compares what I'm liking to Bendis, I figure they're probably trying to offend me.
I agree. It was definitely very intentional the way they, changed that as well as I felt like changed the art style. Not only the coloring, but I felt like the drawing was actually different.
Yeah, everything shifts in that 1 5-page section.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very
for a flashback.
Yeah. Because he's remembering it, so it's probably not 100% the way it happened. So it's kind of just like wonky.
So let me ask you this: your shops, did they have multiple copies of this? Because I literally picked up the last one on the shelf. I was the first one in the store. They had one, and then I went to another store, and they only had one as well. I got both of them. So I don't know.
They had the most of the Frizzen cover, because I think they probably ordered that a bunch intentionally.
My shop was out of the Frizzen cover pretty quick. They had a few left at whatever it was, 3:30 or so, at 4 o'clock when I got there, of the regular cover A, and that was it. Yeah. And several people I messaged on Instagram were like, nope, didn't pick it up. They didn't have it at my shop or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's the sets of the 3 are selling for about $30 on eBay. I mean, that's probably day one hype, but who knows?
Yeah.
If
they've already got second printed.
So
pictures for the new cover and stuff.
That was actually going to be our debate topic.
Okay.
So, I guess are you guys keeping this on your pull list before we get to that?
I'm going to probably give it one more issue just to kind of get a sense of it. Kind of like I did with Sea of Stars. I gave it one more issue, and then I was like, today I decided not to pick up issue 3 for Sea of Stars. I'm going to give this one more and just see how I'm feeling.
I'm kind of in the same boat. It has to, I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was a good book. I enjoyed the art. I enjoyed the characters that it was introduced. But if it's just a monster hunter type thing, then I'll probably drop it. But if it has a little more depth to it, which I hope it does, because like I said, I read the article on what he wants to do with it, the writer. If it does have that depth to it, I'm definitely going to add it to my pull list.
Yeah, I would give this like an 8.7.
Ooh, getting specific.
Yeah, a B plus.
I give it an 8.31542.
Okay, that's too specific. So yeah, I'm with you guys totally. Like I enjoyed it enough to pick up issue 2. I wasn't enraptured enough with it that I'm like, this has to go on my pull list, like I was with Die.
Exactly.
I'll tell you this: I wouldn't have bought it if that wasn't the title. The title sold me on the book. I
Yeah.
saw the title. I was like, man, that sounds cool. I got to give it a shot. If it was something else, I probably would have passed right by.
When I was scrolling through the list for what we were going to do this week, it definitely definitely jumped out on me.
It was this, and what was the other one? Pug something?
Pug Bueller or something like that?
Yeah. War Pug, or I forget what it's called.
War Pug, yeah, I don't remember.
I'm glad you went with this one.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, the debate topic that I'd suggest was this new trend that Marvel and now Boom is Battle Pug. Thank you, Miss Explained. Boom has started doing it where they're clearly soliciting second and even sometimes third, fourth, fifth printings before the first printing even comes out.
Yeah.
So, number one, how is a shop supposed to order appropriately for these subsequent printings if they don't know if their first printing is going to sell? And secondly, what is the rationale behind, besides just hoping that the shop is going to order multiple times for the same book? What's the rationale for doing this? Because clearly they had to print it before the first print came out. So in contrast, the second print for Usagi Yojimbo #1 is coming out next week. Issue 4 came out today.
Yeah.
So that's 4 months. That is about the time frame I would expect, where an issue 1 sells out and the demand is still there. So the printer says, hey, let's go back and do a second print.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I look at, like, as far as second, third, and fourth prints, it's just another way for them to adopt the model of a graphic novel. A graphic novel can be printed anytime they want to. There's not really considered different prints of a graphic novel these days. And the way to get away from that for comics is to have the second, third, and fourth prints available. That way they can just go by sales and they can see that, hey, this #1 sold. We now have an excuse to print more of #1. Because on the initial runs of books, you would get the initial run. That was it. They moved on to another book. It was very common for them to do third and fourth and fifth prints on a lot of books. The way they do this, and like I said, they've kind of adopted the graphic novel philosophy. Now they can print as many printings as they want and fulfill those orders. So I think that's kind of what the independent people are doing, and also Marvel and DC are doing the same thing. But more so for independent, because independent books are the type of books to where you don't know they're hot till the day they hit. And it's always, we got to get this book, we got to go out and get something that's killing the children type thing. And then, because it's a brand new book, it's #1, Kanto #1. Who knows, you're going to want to get Kanto. I'm not buying Kanto, but everybody wanted it type thing. Yeah. And people just went nuts, and second and third printings or whatnot. On the other Marvel side or DC side, you kind of know. It's like, okay, yeah, this is a big event coming up type thing, and we know ahead of time it's going to be something special, so we're going to go ahead and get that. We're going to print more copies. This is an easy way for a third-party publisher or independent publisher to, like I said, adopt the graphic novel publishing for regular comics, and that's pretty much what it is. Or at least that's my view.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that for an indie publisher trying to create noise for their comic, they undersell or limit the amount of an issue going out the door, like an issue 1 like this?
So like what Nintendo does?
Quickly set up a second print to come out on its heels, just so that the first print can sell out and they can make it seem like there's hype and then everybody wants it, and then flood with the second print to keep people talking about it.
So I would say yes, except for the other example that Boom just did was Once and Future is doing this. And every shop I go into still has first prints of Once and Future on the shelf.
Yeah.
So, but the second print is selling for $40 on eBay because it's so underprinted and it's got a new cover. And beyond that, very intentionally, something that Marvel is doing as well, they're putting clear first appearances on the second print cover.
Yep.
And so if down the line, if that becomes hot or becomes a TV show or a movie or whatever, and you want to get the first appearance of Arthur in the book, well, it's on the second print of issue #1. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's you got. Was it Star? First appearance of Star on the cover. You got that today.
And well, I mean, they did it with Miss Marvel, way back, and that's $1,000 book now in a 9.8. To me, it's just issue another variant.
It is a variant. I've always looked at the second, third printings. It's just variants of the regular book. They're just coming out at different times. It's really all it is.
It's so weird. But as like a completionist collector like me, which is literally impossible these days with the amount of variants that come out for certain books. Like I want all the covers for Once and Future #1. Well, tough luck for me, I guess, because I had to know that I wanted the 4th print before issue 1 came out.
Yep.
And I mean, who's going to put that on their pull list? I tried to put a book on my list that's coming out in October today, and they said, "Oh, sorry, it's too late for that. So if we get an extra one, then you can have it." So how am I supposed to know 6 weeks in advance that I want a third, fourth printing of a book?
TJ says, I personally don't think there should be a second printing. A trade is fine, but it's just a money grab. And I definitely can see that. But then inversely, I would say, so for me, somebody late to Immortal Hulk, it was a chance for me to actually read that before the trade came out, right?
Right.
They were 4 issues in, 5 issues in, and I wanted to read, and they had second, third prints. And I was like, okay, I can read some of these and catch up to start picking it up regular.
I also look at the fact that, like publishers, they don't really care about the secondary market. I mean, they don't make any money on the secondary market. So what their book is selling for after they've sold it to Diamond, they can care less, type thing. So for them, they should print as many as they can to put them out there. And like I said, the secondary market finds itself. One thing I've adopted on recently for like independent books, I'm trying to just buy #1s when they come out. It just seems like if you look at all independent books, the ones that are worth money are the #1s. There's very rarely is there a certain number in a book or in a series besides like The Walking Dead and a handful of others. It's always the #1 book. It's God Country #1. It's Baby Teeth #1. It's always the #1 that spikes when something happens. Oblivion Song, perfect example. #1 jumps up $20. #2's in the dollar bin, and so are all the other ones, type thing. I've kind of adopted just buying #1s, just for one. I think they're a decent investment. They're only a few dollars anyway, and I'm curious to read the story because there's some really good stuff coming out right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I was doing that for a while, a few years ago, with every Image #1, and I mean, you miss way more than you hit. But I definitely found some books that I probably wouldn't have picked up otherwise that I really enjoyed. To go back to what TJ was saying, yeah, I mean, personally, I am less of a trade reader. I enjoy reading like individual issues more. So to John's point, yeah, I agree that, if, issue 3 just came out in a second printing, or even issue 2 might be a little fast, but issue 3 came out and you can buy issue 1 with it and kind of catch up a little bit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It helps the reader and the publisher. But when it's the very next, literally the second print of this is coming out next week.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's Perry and Vu Hong have a couple of great points on the same idea, which is if you can't get that first print, it's going for $20 on eBay. You want to read it. You don't want to pay. So a second print just allows you that reader option and can get to it sooner, versus Vu Hong also saying like a second print is great, but when you're getting to like 6th prints on things, it's getting to be a little extreme.
I would agree, but at the same time, if the demand is there, I don't have a problem with it. If the second printing sells out from Diamond and people are still saying, I want a copy of issue 1, and you then solicit a third printing of issue 1, and they order that and that sells out, it's supply and demand. If the demand is there, I don't have a problem with a publisher supplying that. But when it's manufactured, and going back to what you were saying, Bueller, about the secondary market. Yeah, so obviously publishers don't see that money in their pocket, but the hype of that are going to drive people to buy the book. So if people think, oh, this is going to be a $30, $40 book, like the third, the third printing of Once and Future, or no, the fourth printing of Once and Future, fourth printing 3 weeks later of Once and Future #1 is coming out next week. When the list for pre-orders came out today on Midtown, it was already sold out from them.
Yeah. I think it's a tricky situation, to be honest with you. I think, I personally wouldn't have a problem with there only being one printing, but no like cutoff date for that printing type thing. And they just print more. I mean, like you said, if the demand is there and these independent companies who aren't exactly rolling in the dough type thing, if there's a demand for their book, I think they should be able to print more copies, and whether it's considered a first, second, or third printing, to me, it really doesn't, it doesn't matter type thing. And because you talk about the hype kind of drives the book and people want to get that book. Well, the book they want to get is already out and it's already selling for $40. It's already been published and they've moved on to issue 2 or 3 type thing. So, and that's the secondary market where they don't receive any of that money. So I'm totally okay with third-party publishers. And honestly, for my money, I'm okay with Marvel and DC doing the same thing. Just, if the demand is there, just print more copies type thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not something everybody wants to hear type thing, but in a perfect world, you'd get what you want at a reasonable price no matter what. So
yeah,
I think also the variant market defeats the second print market idea that you're suggesting. Like, people want there's multiple covers when a book comes out, and then each second, third, fourth print you get a variant cover.
Yeah.
I think that's what also drives the second and third, fourth print market.
Yeah. I think because we're visual people, and any difference, we see look at us. We bought multiple copies of the same book with different covers. It's the same book. You flip the front page, it's exactly the same book on all of them.
But they look different in our boxes.
What's that?
They said they look different in our boxes.
That's
flipping through.
But yeah, the variant game is going to be there no matter what. It's
sure.
an easy way to make money and put that out there. And like Alec, like you said, he's a completionist. He wants to get them all. So he has to go and hunt down the secret variant for this one, which is the shiny one. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah. Oh, I did.
Okay. But anyway,
I do forgive like a small publisher like Boom a little more for doing it, because if that's what it takes for them to be able to publish cool books like this in Once and Future, like I'll forgive it, because competing with Absolute Carnage and House of X and all these like giant mega events that these big publishers are doing to get noticed, if you have to rip us off a little bit by putting out a second print before the first print comes out, then whatever, I'll buy it. I'm a sucker. You got me.
A side note really quick, and I want to recognize Boom Studios. The quality of their books is very good. And, there's a few, you compare it to Marvel, okay? And the ink is off in your hands type thing. But the quality of these books are very good, and they're not charging you an extra $1 because the cover is thicker like another company does or whatnot. But just hats off to Boom Studios for putting out a quality book.
Yeah, I totally agree. They feel much nicer in your hands. They aren't like, the covers are solid, the pages are nice. So yeah, definitely shout out to them for that. And like I said, putting out good stories, good books. I'm gonna keep buying them. I guess that's all I got to rant about second prints.
I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, there's always more. I realized a bit earlier when I said the thing about looking through the list for what we were going to read, we didn't pick a book for next week.
Too true, good sir.
So
2 weeks in a row we pulled this problem.
We're gonna read something next week. Stay tuned to our Instagrams. Chad RCG says, when does the auction
came out next week, and I'm drawing a blank. I should know this.
I'm not sure.
It was on the show until this afternoon.
Not sure if that is a joke or if you're asking about next week. But very funny joke, or it's at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock next Thursday, sometime around there.
A week from tomorrow.
Yeah. Get ready for that. I'm going to try to do a preview video soon. I'm just waiting for some pics from DS, and then try to drop that. But yeah, that's gonna be a crazy time. All right, it was a joke. So nailed it, and thanks for the setup to let me plug my auction. Not my auction.
I just thought, I don't know if you guys want to read this one on your show next week, but King Thor comes out next week.
Oh yeah, there's an awesome Zafino variant for that.
Yeah,
that's Jason Aaron, right? He's going to write that last run.
Yeah. Yep. Just
it is an option.
That's the only one that popped in my mind. That's a new book.
Chastity #1 from Chaos Comics is coming out.
Oh yeah, Chastity. That looks great.
John looked interested. He piqued his interest for a moment. You guys have anything you'd like to plug?
Bueller's had some really great, fun new series on his channel lately. I just want to shout him out for he's been doing the comparison eBay to Overstreet series that I thought was just really great. Created a lot of talk. I thought it was really kind of fun. He dropped a new article on Comic Time 101 today. I thought it was really great. I edited that, so if there's spelling mistakes, you can blame me and not Bueller. But yeah, so. Shout out to Bueller. He has also had an auction recently. That was a lot of fun. I was in there. I didn't have money to spend, but I was watching. So shout out to you, buddy.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I'm trying to do some it's the new fall season coming up, right? So I got to have new shows. It's pretty much what it is. I actually have 3 new shows to add to my thing. And the eBay versus Overstreet was one. The top 3 stories type thing, or top 3, which is an interactive video series to where the audience gets to choose. That's another one. And then there's a third one that I'm working on. That's kind of a TV show. And that one I'm very excited to put together. So new shows, and maybe some of the old ones might go away. I don't know. It seems like I got a lot of different shows.
You don't get rid of that copy and comments video, though. You better not touch that one.
I haven't done it for 2 weeks.
I've been missing it.
I know.
I feel bad.
Don't you dare play with that.
Yeah, I know. I didn't do it this week because it was Labor Day. Come on, give me a break. Who's gonna wake up?
No. I'm not saying you can't take vacations.
Just don't take it away. Ready to go.
Oh man. Well, thank you.
Comics Explained said pumpkin flavored.
What's that?
Comics Explained said pumpkin flavored comics.
Pumpkin flavored comics.
Pumpkin spice.
Like. Pumpkin spice is coming up, right?
Yeah.
And eggnog's in the corner. And trust me,
I know you.
When the eggnog hits, I'll be doing that coffee video every week.
Without fail. John, what you got going on?
Tomorrow I'm doing another in the top 5 series with Fire Guy Ryan. We have Hialeah Comic Bro joining us to do top 5 1970s movies. We're doing flashback to the 70s. Disco is back, baby. We're going to look at the best movies from the 70s. So that should be a whole lot of fun. That'll be on my channel tomorrow evening, 8:30 Eastern. And then Friday I'm on with The Boy Who Had 7 for Friday Night Fights. I am refereeing the next round in that game show, which has been a lot of fun. So I'm doing that on Friday. And then Saturday night, I should be on with Robert Galvin. I was supposed to be on last week, but I had to jump into that auction and make a little money for Baltimore. So I'm supposed to be on with Robert Galvin late Saturday night.
Very cool. I've got Story Comic Core on Monday. We're doing 90s books all of a sudden now for our 4th or 5th iteration of Story Comic Core. But
we're doing flashback stuff.
I feel like this week we finally kind of hit on something. It was a lot of fun. If you didn't join us, I read Turok #1 and enjoyed it. So
you're the one.
I'm the one.
Yep.
And interestingly, speaking of Baltimore, Michelini and Bart Sears are going to be there, so I might get a double sign in CGC. I'm probably not going to get a CGC, but I might get a double sign.
Yeah, I was going to say, do the first thing, not the second thing.
And on Tuesday, I'm going to be on New York Warriors auction, And then Wednesday, I'm back here on John's channel for book club. And then Thursday, I'm back on my channel for my second auction of the week with John and DS Comics, who's selling grails on grails on grails.
I was gonna say DS is gonna be selling all the fire stuff for people who want to drop hundreds of bucks, and then I'll be selling. Hey, if you want to spend $20 and get a whole crap ton of books, you can do mine instead. So you have definite options.
Yeah, don't assume just because you can't afford a Hulk 181 that there's not gonna be something for you to buy, because I got plenty of dollar books, man.
That's why I'm there.
Cool. So thanks for joining us. Something is killing the children. That didn't sound great.
Yeah.
You just throw it in there like that. You kind of need to prep it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us while we talked about this comic book called Something is Killing Children.
Yeah. But you got to say it like, something is killing the children.
Something is killing the children.
Yeah.
Something's killing the children.
There's so many ways you could say that.
Thanks to John for joining us, as always. Thanks to Bueller for hopping at the last second, being a champion. Great community member. Lady Fantastic.
The only person to 3-time on our show. So
it's lead in the water.
Represent.
Hitting the trifecta. Cool. We'll see you next week with some book and some guest. Okay. Bye. Now we get like the 10 seconds of really awkward wait while we're finishing this. Waiting for this.